Thank you for joining today. This is our voice-enabled teams portal. Here is where we set up our clients for our voice-enabled teams service. One of the first steps towards enabling a client to use our service is we have to create an account for them within our portal. I've already gone ahead and done that for the purposes of this demo. I've created a test account and I've already licensed it with our Next Vortex Enterprise SIP trunks. We also have the capability of licensing it with our UCaaS hosted PBX service as well. I will go ahead and log into this test instance of voice-enabled teams. This will be the client's view of their portal. You'll see that there is a users section and there is in particular a services section, which is where we're going to go next. When we set up a new portal for a client, one of the first things that we need to do is connect our Enterprise Next Vortex SIP trunks or our UCaaS hosted PBX seats onto the customer's portal. In this case, we have a test trunk. It does not have an actual DID on it, but it is just for demo purposes. One of the first things that you need to do in order to leverage the service is that we need to deploy one of these connectivity profiles into your portal. That's already been completed. So the next step in pairing this with your Microsoft tenant is to go to the Teams tab under the Services section. Here, we're going to go ahead and use the one-click second gen button. This will make it very easy for an end user to pair this with their Microsoft tenant. All you'll need to do is supply your global admin credentials, which will grant the permissions needed to attach our service with your Microsoft Teams instance. We will click on the Enable Sync. You will be prompted to put in your GA credentials. I will go ahead and select mine to start the pairing process. One of the things that you will need to do as a GA is that you'll have to consent on behalf of your organization, grant us permissions to make a connection to your Microsoft tenant. Upon doing that, this will start the synchronization and pairing process. One of the first things that will happen in the back end is that there will be 2 domains deployed within your Microsoft Teams admin center. I will go ahead and show you what that looks like from a demo instance of Microsoft Teams that we already have running. I am awaiting a message during the synchronization process that lets me know that the domains are being prepped to be deployed into your tenant, at which point I will switch over and show you what that looks like within your Microsoft tenant. Fantastic. We've gotten a notification that it is currently waiting for the 2 domains to activate within your Microsoft Office tenant. I will go ahead and switch my screen to show you what the admin center looks like. This is the tenant that we're currently attempting to pair the service with. We'll go ahead under settings, domains. Here are the domains that are part of your tenant. I will refresh the screen and I should see 2 additional entries that have been pushed into your Microsoft tenant. In order to complete the setup of these domains, you will click on each individual one and run through the same process. I will go ahead and click on continue setup on this entry, and I will flag this domain as a healthy domain. Pay close attention not to pair these domains with any of the existing Microsoft 365 services such as Exchange. We'll click over here in the more options. We're going to add our own DNS records. Click on next. At which point I do not want to associate this domain with Exchange and Exchange Online Protection. I want to make sure that none of these services are checked off, and this looks good to go. We'll go ahead to the next screen. At this point, this particular domain is now voice ready. We will go ahead and prepare the secondary domain, following the same steps as before. We're adding our own DNS record. We will not be linking this to Exchange and Exchange Online Protection, neither Skype nor Intune. And now both of those domains should be 100% ready. We will switch back over to our voice-enabled Teams portal and allow the synchronization process to pick up the changes that we just made in our Microsoft tenant. This will take some time, so sit tight while this finishes. Looks like the synchronization process has completed. I will go ahead and take a look at the history log to make sure that it completed successfully. As I see over here, it has. Fantastic. So one of the next items I typically do when we're setting up any of our clients is I go over the client's Microsoft tenant and validate that direct routing has been enabled and that the voice routes have been deployed within their Microsoft tenant. To do that, you would go to the Teams Admin Center. You should be able to navigate to the voice section of your Teams Admin Center and go to the direct routing section. I will go ahead and refresh this page. And we can see now that 5 voice routes have been deployed into the tenant. These are all the voice routes needed for our service. This looks like it is ready to go. The next part is essentially attaching a user from your Microsoft tenant to one of the DIDs of the trunk. In this case, we should see my user account pop up, and we should be able to assign a DID to that account. Simply by going to the Add User creation screen over here and clicking on Add. Now, once we pair the user with the DID, you will need to sync the service again. This is not an active sync. It is a push button sync that you would run as an admin of your tenant. Upon the completion of the sync, if everything worked well, you should see a green check mark next to the sync, indicating a successful sync. Essentially, what that means is that the DID has been pushed into your Microsoft tenant for the particular user we've provisioned in here. Once that is complete and the synchronization is in place, you should be able to log off of Teams, log back into Teams, and you should now see a call button so that you can place external calls and also receive inbound calls. All right. At this point in time, my user profile in my Microsoft tenant should reflect that I've added the DID, as you see here on the screen, to my Microsoft profile. And you should be ready to start leveraging the voice-enabled Teams service.